And as you can see, Crafty being punched from his castle into Radiator Springs clearly gives context to the end card of the Season 3 penultimate episode that tells us that Crafty needs to get a car.
Okay, so with that in mind, how can you take what you've learned and apply it to your thought process in the future?
You see, because of Crafty's show, I now know that I am not the only person in the world who has suffered because of the existence of furries. I mean, come on, the furries stole his wife, the furries stole my slippers, and the 7 Chaos Emeralds. So, it fills me with a lot of relatability to this one British Florida man.
You know what? Just now occurred to me that we began with discussions of self-induced lobotomy with a spoon, but I suppose that's as good an answer as any. Now, before we end for the week, are there any other questions or topics you'd like to discuss?
Well, you see, even though I've been enjoying the exploits of Crafty, Styline, and everyone else, there's just one video that I put out that had a couple of issues that has just been bugging me for the last 37 hours of my existence.
Oh. Okay, well, I suppose we can look at it together, so long as it has nothing to do with furry fucks.
Well, you see, you like Sonic the Hedgehog?
Oh yeah, I know the Arthurian lore.
Okay, look, is my way of getting Wait, really? No abhorrent reaction to the subject matter?
I mean, I won't cover it directly, but I can bring apples for purging, and we can discuss afterwards. Episode 30 this shit.
Yeah, sure, I guess that's okay. By the way, how'd you get your PhD?
Stolen, why'd you ask?
Okay, good. Lord knows I would never want advice from an actual professional. Now that I know that information, let's talk about Dr. Crafty's least favorite Sonic characters.
Nessie, how's the bathroom looking? We've got a new episode to fit. What on earth is all this?
Sorry, Crafty, but I am not cleaning that up. I refuse to apologize and accept the consequences of my own actions that come from respecting women's rights.
Ugh.
No, my fluids! What have you done to them, you harlot?
Hurry up!
Wait, what? Really, Talk? How can you hate on such a fellow mad scientist? Especially one with such staying power as Dr. Eggman.
Well, it's not the fact that I hate Eggman per se. More specifically, I hate this particular iteration of Eggman. Let me explain my reason. Modern Sonic games have all shared similar formulas. Eggman finds a supernatural entity, attempts to exploit it. It's either too powerful for him to control, or it betrays him. And then he swoops in at the end to act as the final boss when the primary threat is defeated by Sonic. He's just not a major player in most Sonic games.
Okay, wow, this is just straight up incorrect. While sure, Baldy Notaire messing with forces more powerful than him is a common trope in later Sonic games, he has rarely uprooted the spotlight away from those characters after they became their own girl bosses. Hell, the only instance I can think of off the top of my head where Eggman swoops in to become the final boss is Sonic Forces, Lost World, and Colors on the Nintendo DS. In every other instance, it's typically the evil god monster that is reserved for the supersonic final boss, such as Perfect Chaos, Dark Gaia, and Memphis, Tennessee's polyamorous relationship with the entire world. And even if we go off the Forces example, I am ashamed I need to remind myself alongside you of that game's plot, where an infinite, the new super cool bad guy is betrayed by Eggman, the exact opposite of what you claim with your visual example. So thanks for forcing me to remember my other trauma, you discount Okabe Rentaro.
I am mad scientist. It's so cool. Son of a bitch.
So anyways, the next segment is about the Deadly Skicks, and I'm skipping it because I am sure that there are no major points that could be made towards that segment given how sucky peaky they are.
Oh, hello there, Trunks. Fancy seeing you here on this list.
Aw, come on, Crafty. Okay, sure, he's a time traveler from the future trying to alter a catastrophe-causing event.
Oh, please. Sonic lives so much from Dragon Ball, it's not even funny.
Come on, surely they can't rip that much.
Are you butt-fucking me, Crafty? The only thing the Chaos Emeralds and the Dragon Balls have in common is the number 7!
They both have 7 magic items, but so did the games like Paper Mario titles. Okay, there is the whole gold-colored power-up thing, but... Alright, I get it!
So, Avi, I can see that you are capable of covering the first half on your own.
Okay, so let's go one by one. The Chaos Emeralds are nigh omni-powerful crystals that give their wielders insane power, even on their own, whereas the Dragon Balls are only useful when you have all of them, and their wish-granting abilities range on who created them. And now, there are even sets of Dragon Balls that aren't even 7. The only thing they really have in common is that they're just important MacGuffins. Next, Supersonic is based around the Chaos Emeralds and can't be accessed without them, while having a ring-based time limit. Super Saiyan comes from oneself completely, doesn't have a time limit when mastered, and has many levels and variations that exist in more than one instance. Not really a bad comparison, but there are a couple nitpicks. Vegeta and Shadow genuinely have nothing in common outside of being rival-esque characters. Vegeta's entire arc is based around his desire to become stronger than Kakarot, which leads to him finding a love for his family and home, whereas Shadow doesn't really give a fuck about Sonic and just does his own thing most of the time, along with having the funny amnesia plotline which Vegeta never suffered. These two have no relation outside of title and early aesthetic. This comparison is somehow worse than the first. Believe it or not, there are levels beyond just the surface. Okay, that's just racist.
Okay, real quick, but why is this the second Sonic-themed commentary in a row where I have had to debate regarding Silver being just furry Tyler the Great Warrior? Anyways, I am also not a big fan of your comparison, since going down the rest of the list, why is Omega a ripoff of Android 16? Is it just because they're both robots? Well, fuck, I guess My Life as a Teenage Robot is a ripoff of Dragon Ball because they both have robots. Eggman being a ripoff of Frieza is just dumb. I do not know how else to put it, Chief. Why yes, let's compare a man who wants to take over the world and turn everyone into comedic-looking robots to
actual genocide.
What could possibly go wrong? The most I can glean is that they both have flying pods and want to rule over others, but they are radically different in every other aspect of their character, such as Frieza not needing technology to be a threat to the heroes, while Eggman is dependent on it, as the big example. Eggman also just straight up adopted Metal Sonic as his child in later adaptations of his character, while Frieza would never even consider the thought of positive context. Man, can you believe Dragon Ball invented the concept of an island floating in the sky? You had better watch out for that cease and desist, Jack Black from Gulliver's Travels, you sex master. And finally, this one's actually not that bad a comparison, but why, for your example, use regular Metal Sonic and not, Neo Metal Sonic from Heroes? The one who actually copies data from the rest of the cast. The one you reference yourself later on in this video.
Wait for me!
All life form data successfully copied.
Slime Girl lifeform data has been copied.
Look, your visual aid was right there, and instead you put him in a wheelchair and walked them onto the highway to get run over all night long.
I believe I can fly.
Oh.
Show me, yeah! Show me, yeah! Show me, yeah! Level up!
Need I say more?
Yes, believe it or not, you do in fact need to state more reasons for why Charmy leveling up is a bad thing. Like, what the fuck is going to happen? Is Charmy going to get a stand as similar to your Cthulhu waifu stand? Is it going to allow Mindstein to force humanity to watch Grammarly ads to force people to speak like boring business robots? Is it going to force me to make reasonable life choices? Yeah, who knew that in a list discussing a set of characters in order, you need to explain to an audience unfamiliar with the subject why a character has been placed at the rank they are at? I'm gonna be honest, I never would have guessed that.
I take it this will be relevant later?
Actually, I don't believe that it's that relevant.
Okay, so we're gonna keep this in mind for later.
You don't even help with bills. You need to get a job. I come home every day crying. We're gonna lose the house. Where are the cats gonna go? Jordan, for real.
I have to ask, who is responsible for this? Who thought it would be a great idea to have Sonic the cartoon hedgehog, have a love story with a photorealistic Final Fantasy character?
I don't know, use your fucking cool demon powers to figure that shit out, man.
The way he leaps off of rooftops and flips backwards to face the camera before falling into a headfirst dive is just full of the exaggerated swagger of a black teen.
Meow?
Big the cat.
Obama, please guide my soul tonight!
You know, if I had a nickel for every time someone said that specifically being slow is worse than bestiality, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice.
Just why?
Big the Cat made his debut in Sonic Adventure as a playable character, where his gameplay was centered around fishing. Basically created to show off the gameplay engines that the Dreamcast was capable at the time. Just look at how many fishing games Sega had made over the years. It's kinda crazy.
It's bad enough they created a character around arguably the most boring of pastimes.
What the figglehorn did you just say about fishing? I will have you know we take our craft very seriously and take great pleasure in our magnificent rods. You clearly underestimate the amount of effort a man must be able to put in to capture a fish in his entire life. The amount of worms one must dig up in order to utilize their full potential as bait. The giant smooth jazz playlist one must construct in order to pass the time while waiting for a bite. And having the true skill to find a cooler large and capable enough to fit your mermaid wife.
But someone thought it was a brilliant idea to make him... Well, there's no delicate way to sugarcoat this. Mentally handicapped.
Oh, please, Crafty. You don't think that maybe Big is just simple-minded? I mean, considering he's a fisherman who's been living in a swampy jungle bio his whole life, I really don't want to think about any potential origins of his mental condition.
Editor's note. What the fuck?
Okay, so let me see if I get this straight. Big is bad because he's stupid. Even ignoring the simple-minded hypothetical that Messi brings up. Yeah, so let's just automatically assume that a character being mentally challenged is inherently bad writing. Of course, obviously this is the case in every single circumstance. Stimpy from Ren and Stimpy, go commit not alive, you stupid cat. I would give more benefit of the doubt that there is a problem with the way Big is characterized as being dumb, but you barely elaborate on that point aside from a joke about inbreeding, which, by the way, very tasteful. I'm very glad you decided to raise the volume level to that specific capacity so that it wouldn't be loud enough to make me deaf, but it would be just loud enough to bug me a bit in editing. And right after that, you go on to primarily focus on his design and gameplay afterwards.
Anyway... Big the Cat suffers once again from the similar design problems that the Zeddies did, in that his proportions, and especially his eyes, don't match up with the design aesthetics of the other Sonic characters, and having the boring/frustrating gameplay of his debut doesn't help his case at all.
Maybe there's something me and Stylene can do about that.
In any case, Big the Cat's 9 lives are up on this list.
Real quick, I get him in the middle of a point. However, Dr. Crafty has said a thing, and I've noticed it, and I'm going to now discuss it. What the fuck is the Sonic character design mantra? Yo, Crafty, you gotta actually tell us what the fuck any of that means? You know, elaboration, all that's cool shit that's better than sex. Like seriously, dude, fucking, like, you could have spent this time to elaborate on what you think Big's design should have been, but instead, you took that and shoved it into an entirely separate video that didn't even exist for a week. What the fuck? Which, while I do not feel the need to argue in a vacuum, however, considering the reasons listed for Elise to be placed at number 3, that being her relationship with Sonic somehow being better than being stupid, if I may quote a great mind who you may be familiar with,
This just in! Slow people are worse than bestiality!
Okay, Crafty. Is this one even really fair? Froggy's not even really a character.
He doesn't even have dialogue!
ow, what the f***?
Tire Zeddy crew all share the same problem.
Man, what the fuck, Avi? Why would you do that?
Doc? Doc?
Alright, Froggy. Motherfucker, just cast the fucking lure, you piece of garbage.
Do it.
Get it. Like it. Want it. Have it. Need it. Why?
I've been alive for 3
Why?
seconds. Here's my birth video. Hi, I'm Mike.
It's right, Froggy, it's right here. It's right here. You can see it, you can smell it, you can taste it. It's real. It's in front of your face.
I spent my entire life
Grab it.
Is that a hit?
My studies have led me down the rabbit hole of frivolous, dumb, fucking stupid-ass dumb shit, goddamn.
And it's still going, and going, and going. Okay, I give up. How long does this flashback to his past life as a game grump go on for?
He's going in for second.
God! Fuck this noise. Seriously, even ignoring how this is yet another segment depending on a joke, and for the number one at that, but if you're going to make a joke like this, have it not drag on for as long as it does, which is so weird given the editor of the video had a good sense of how to pace the joke during the Charmy segment, but I guess here they got distracted by how cool jaywalking is and just forgot to trim this bit down in post.
I'll take those odds.
There has been an increasing popularity in storytelling utilizing anthropomorphic animal casts lately, and I've got to say that the storytelling elements of this genre have been surprisingly well done.
Yes, going back to my original point, the furry community has had some amazingly well done shows come out recently. Shows like Beastars and the widely loved Zootopia are some of the more mainstream examples of shows focusing on the anthro-animal casts.
Doctor, excuse my forwardness, but just because you enjoy a show using anthropomorphic animals, that doesn't mean you're a furry.
Come again?
Well, while the definition can vary based on the person, you have to admit that anthropomorphic creatures have been widely popular in mainstream culture for quite some time now. While I understand the confusion, I think it is important to not label everything under one subset group, even if there is a lot of overlap in the fandoms.
Okay, that is bullshit. If I cannot lump all of my problems under one label, then how am I supposed to live? Not being racist to furries? That's stupid. As the CEO of racism, I cannot let this slide.
Peppa, have you been studying this?
I may or may not have done my research, and I mean, I myself am technically an anthropomorphized creature, am I not? Are you a furry for liking me?
No, because personally speaking, I believe in styling supremacy.
How could this happen in this photograph?
Anyway, Sarah, I believe this is the end of the video. Do you have any final thoughts, Ceradust the patient?
Trust me, Avi, where we're going, we won't need final thoughts.
I assume you're going to substitute final thoughts with another crack theory?
Well, you see... In one of my prior theories, I pointed out the obvious fact that Crafty began to spiral down the path of being politically correct when his wife was stolen by the furries. Well, you see, to expand on this theory, I may have in fact figured out exactly who, in-universe, the culprit of the crime was. For you see, at the end of the episode, alongside several others in this season, we see a seemingly robotic duplicate of the Mad Doctor himself. And while his motives are unknown to most, they are not in fact unknown to me, Ceradust, the wielder of the second and third brains respectively. For you see, during said prior war flashback I showcased in this video, you might be questioning why it was a flashback to Aaron Hansen of Game Grumps fame. Now you might think, oh, Crafty probably watched a Let's Play or played SA1 himself. You know, like a fucking loser. But that wouldn't quite add up given it was this robotic duplicate having the flashback, not Crafty himself. So what I propose to you is that this robotic double of Crafty is actually the reincarnation of Aaron Hansen from Game Grumps fame, put into robotic flesh made metallic organically. And this is why he stole Sasha, because Dan from Game Grumps fame didn't get reincarnated, so he thought that anime girl Cthulhu would be a serviceable substitute for Dan, which explains the loose threads from the prior season and absolutely recontextualizes the entire show.
I miss my wife, Tails. I miss her a lot.
Now, you might be thinking this seems a little far-fetched, that Mindstone would just be able to reincarnate people like that, but you ignore the fact that we've seen her do this before in the show. Remember Bill Cipher? Man, me too. Fucking that dude, he came back because of the fucking torch of reincarnation, or whatever the fuck it was called. So yeah, no, fucking get fucked, forehead. And all of that isn't even getting into the mid-season finale, wherein we see Dr. Crafty and Nurse Worse end up in the danger zone, wherein they end up meeting Cthulhu's mom. So as you can understand, it was a very awkward family reunion. But that's ignoring the point, because with my intelligent intellect, I know exactly who she is. Mostly because I've been to a danger zone before, and she's a really nice person. But like, I mean, she showed me every single timeline at once, but you know, that's a minor detail. It's not really all that important. Anyways, obviously, I know that her real identity is actually Nine the Phantom's monster from the Blaze Blue series. I mean, come on. It's got multiple hands. It's got really big hands. She's got really big hands. I mean, like, come on. Can you not see the similarities, dude? So, you know, obviously the season finale is going to be Blaze Blue month, wherein Crafty has to finally open up the Pandora's box of talking about a fighting game plot. Now, you might be wondering, how do I know this? Again, I peered into every single timeline. Obviously, I know this is the one where it happens. Shut up. Also, Mecha Crafty is just a transformer who has not shown us his car form yet. Fucking based facts. Anyways, now that this is out of my system, thank you, Avi, for being my illegal therapist.
Well, it seems time is up. I'll see you next week. Oh, and by the way, are you attending the funeral?
Not that I know of. Why do you ask, my friendly neighborhood therapist?
Yeah, I just received word that he died of ligma.
Who the fuck is Steve Jobs?
Ligma balls.
No, seriously, will someone tell me who Steve Jobs is?